This program contains dramatizations of real people and events. Some names have been changed. This program is for mature audiences only. It contains graphic images which may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. At a peaceful lake, a double homicide with no clues forces a rookie detective to turn to a psychic.
It was pretty brutal. I felt like he was really angry when he did it.
A young man missing. A grisly crime scene suggests murder. Police have many questions. A psychic seeks answers.
There's only one incident that happened, and that's what I want to see.
When clues are scarce and answers elusive, investigators sometimes turn to a psychic witness. On the shores of Clear Lake, nestled in the hills of Northern California, lies the small town of Nice.
Honey, you finished with the email yet?
Not yet, not yet. Got 2 or 3 more lines to do.
Donald and Marianne Devardo retired here after raising their family in Southern California.
Take a walk later.
Now their children are grown with their own families. And the couple enjoys relaxing in their quiet corner of the world.
I'm getting
They
ready.
were homebodies, had a pretty regular schedule.
Lake County Detective Chris Carlisle.
Yeah, Corey, this is Chris.
They were very quiet people. They were very friendly neighbors. They were the kind of people who made desserts for people who moved in the neighborhood knew.
April 6, 1999. Janet Devardo and her younger brother Jeff have flown in to visit their parents.
I'd been planning this trip for several months. Dad's birthday was going to be while I was there, so we were making plans to celebrate.
During the ride, Janet and Jeff get reacquainted.
I haven't seen him in over a year. And we talked about our jobs and our kids and, talked about asking Mom and Dad to move closer to civilization.
When Janet and Jeff arrive at their parents' home, they walk into a nightmare.
I'm standing in the street in front of Mom and Dad's driveway, and there's cops and tape and who knows what all there. And I'm yelling, this is my parents' house. What's going on?
Earlier that day, a neighbor of the Devardos was worried. He hadn't seen or heard from the couple for a week. They usually let him know when they plan to be away, so he can look after the house and collect their mail. When he tried the back door, it was unlocked. Something was wrong.
Don?
Marianne Devardo, dead. Police later discovered Donald's body. Lead Detective Corey Paulich of the Lake County Sheriff's Office.
So I made contact with Janet and Jeff, told them that there were 2 people inside the residence that were elderly, who were murdered.
Jeff.
It's like your peripheral vision shuts down, and all I could see was what in front of me, and that wasn't making a lot of sense.
Jeff immediately kind of slumped down, almost kind of lost his balance or was going to fall on the ground. became very emotional, crying.
Inside, the crime scene investigation begins. 2 victims, husband and wife, both brutally stabbed to death.
Marianne Devardo was lying face down on the living room floor. She had massive wounds to her neck and throat area. Donald Devardo was found in a laundry room.
He had some obvious cuts to his hands, arms, fingers. Looked like obvious defensive wounds, like he'd put up quite a fight.
The house is ransacked.
Make sure you check under the couch, under the cushions.
You know, when you first come in, you're thinking it was a burglary motive, but then as you start to look around, the things that would be taken weren't taken. So then we started to think it was more of a staged crime scene.
There's virtually no evidence to speak of. No signs of forced entry. No unknown fingerprints. Just a kitchen towel with what looks like blood on it.
It had been wet at one time and wrung out, and had dark stains on it. So we collected it, and we thought this might be blood stains on it, and took it as a piece of evidence to test later.
Police find a broken clock. Its arms frozen at 10:25. Likely the time of the murders.
We were able to examine their computer and found that the last time that it was accessed was 7:30 in the morning on the 31st of March. They would always pick up their mail around 11 or 12 in the morning. And it hadn't been done on the 31st, so that's the day that we decided that they were probably murdered.
The killings mystify police and devastate the family.
It still makes me speechless. I remember thinking, wait a minute, my parents are dead and I should be hysterical, and I'm not. And that's what I remember, is just this incredible, just being almost frozen.
Nothing is adding up.
Why were these people victims? Was a big question. And it's one of the questions you ask every time you go to especially a homicide scene, what made these people a victim?
We wanted answers. Like, why did this happen? Were they targeted? You know, and are we next? We were scared. It was a horrible day.
The key to solving the murders could lie in the nature of the attack itself.
A close frontal assault with a sharp instrument is very difficult to do. To actually stab someone and feel the blood on you is a pretty significant attack.
The killings were passionate, personal, and most likely committed by someone the Devardos knew well. Someone they trusted. With few leads and little evidence, a psychic must help uncover the truth.
I've done it so often, I just feel it when it's that person. And I just had a feeling that was the guilty one.
In Northern California, the bodies of Donald and Marianne Devardo, victims of a brutal double homicide, are discovered by a neighbor. The news rocks the small town of Nice and devastates the family.
They told us that they were stabbed.
The Devardo's daughter, Janet.
We found out more information on the degree of violence done to my parents, the number of stab wounds, the location of the stab wounds, and it was horrible. Even if they had gotten immediate medical attention, they would not have survived.
Detectives Chris Carlisle and Corey Polich look for answers in the evidence.
There's been a lot of studies about stab wounds and things where they're concentrated. When you have those concentrated around somebody's face and frontal area, the person who's attacking wants them to know, wants them to see their face. This is me and I'm killing you.
So we started looking at close friends and family.
But everyone they check out has an alibi, and finding a motive as to why someone would want the elderly couple dead proves difficult. The pressure is on.
It was my first case, so I had some anxiety. I lost a lot of sleep with this case. At that point, it didn't look very good. We're a month into the investigation and still had zero information, no evidence, and the case was getting cold. I never want a case to go unsolved.
Then, a phone call changes everything. Donald's sister tells police that her nephew Jeff might know more than he is telling. She explains that several months before the murders, Jeff came to them with an unusual request: a $50,000 loan.
Jeff's aunt and uncle had a lot of money, and Jeff knew that. He went to them for a loan of $50,000.
The reason for the loan is even more bizarre. Jeff told them he was involved in a covert gun-running scheme for the CIA, exchanging firearms for diamonds and other untraceable commodities. But in 1998, it all went wrong.
He was about $200,000 short. It disappeared somewhere. And he had paid back all but $50,000 worth of this money. And if he didn't pay these people back, they were going to kill him.
Jeff's aunt and uncle didn't believe his story. It sounded crazy. They refused to give him the money. So Jeff turned to his parents.
Mom and Dad, who love their son and want to protect him, loan him money.
The first thing that we wanted to find out was why he needed the money. We didn't have evidence or probable cause to get a search warrant to search his records, so we wanted him to cooperate as long as we could. We developed a way to get the records without him knowing that we were focusing on it.
They sent information packets to the Devardo siblings. It covers everything from bank accounts to personal questions.
I received the packets back from Janet Devardo. Jeff, on the other hand, called me several times wanting to know, well, why did you need this? Why do you want that? When he returned it, there was nothing to do with his financial records or bank accounts. He had crossed all that out. So we were just growing more and more suspicious of him at that time. At that point, we decided we needed to get to know who Jeff Devardo was, who his friends were, where he worked, and do a little background investigation on him.
Jeff works at an engineering firm. Detectives speak with coworkers there and hear of a different Jeff Devardo. Some coworkers describe a warm, genial man who brags lovingly about his 2 adopted sons. Others describe his devotion to a daughter stricken with cancer. Detectives wonder if they're after the wrong man, except for one thing.
He was just a pathological liar.
Jeff Devardo has no adopted kids, and his daughter's not sick.
He told lies about his daughter. He told lies about the CIA or government agency that he worked for, about the sons he adopted.
Jeff was clearly emerging as primary suspect in this. We ultimately asked Jeff to come in for a lie detector test. Were you involved in the death of your parents? Did you kill your parents? He answered no to all those, and when the polygraph was finished, the polygraphist told us that 99.9% he was being deceptive, he was lying.
They confront him with their suspicions.
Killed your mom and dad. I didn't do it.
The detectives don't buy it.
You failed.
When we were telling him that he killed his parents, he said, "I didn't kill my parents," which, using that type of word to describe your parents, you might say, I didn't kill my parents, but to say I didn't kill my parents might be pointing an anger at your parents. That's what the polygrapher hit on that. That was a big thing for him.
You got right now to tell us the truth.
This is not
Be honest.
a grieving child who just wants to help with an investigation. This is a suspect. This is a person who killed his parents.
Trouble is, Jeff Devardo has an alibi.
Check my logs.
Jeff's company has high security. Employees need a key card to get in and out of the office. Each meeting requires signing in. On the day of the murders, Jeff's signature is in the book. Perhaps he flew to Nice after his meeting. But when detectives check the airlines and charters, they find no record of any trip. The investigation stalls.
Everything seemed to be pointing at him, but we just didn't have enough evidence or probable cause to really go any further. We didn't know where we were going to go at that point or what we could do. I mean, it did kind of go cold.
Detectives have questions only one woman can answer.
I spoke to Carl Stein, who was a detective here. He mentioned a psychic that he had used previously in a case, who he felt very comfortable with and would vouch for.
Corey told me that he was going to go see the forensic psychic. We've had these discussions in the past, and I think it's, I don't believe in it. I don't think it's of any value.
You know, I'm skeptical, like most people, of psychics, but I figured I had nothing to lose.
More than a month after the murders, Detective Paulage and Carl Stein visit California's psychic, Kay Ray.
Stein called me and asked if I would work with him because I'd worked with him on other cases. Like I keep telling him, why don't you come when it first happens and I can help you solve it right away.
You know, you see psychics, some of them want to hold a piece of clothing or an item of the person and try and feel it that way, or they look at pictures. And Kay is not like that. She just sees things like a ticker tape going through her head, or they just flash to her, basically, and she'll just ask you questions.
They tell me what they know, then I tell them what I know about it. And we put the two together and see if they match. It's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together.
It's about money. It's about money.
I came up with the fact the mother and the father were dead and were in different rooms. He had been pretty brutal. I felt like he was really angry when he did it.
Kay immediately centers on the Devardo's son, Jeff.
They gave me the list of the children. I thought that the son is the one that stood out. He had lied to them.
When she tries to envision the whereabouts of the knife, all she sees is water.
We have a large lake in our county. The highway goes right along the lake shore near their house. It's a normal area for people to discard evidence.
Kay has another vision of flames.
Because I normally look to see what's happened to the weapon and if there's anything left on the clothes that might give him away or anything. Not this one, because he burned them.
Have you checked his finances?
But Kay's biggest lead is still to come.
Very often, as they're telling me something they know, I'll feel like, it's not quite the way it happened.
In April 1999, a California family is shattered after the brutal murder of Donald and Marianne Devardo. Police believe the couple's son, Jeff, did it.
Money.
Psychic Kay Ray agrees. But placing Jeff at the crime scene proves tougher.
He had signed to be at work that day. I thought, no.
Jeff's work log shows him at a meeting during the time of the murders. If he killed his parents, he only had a few hours to do it.
And they said, well, we've checked the airlines and everything. They didn't know how he could possibly get up here that fast.
But a plane doesn't feel right to Kay. She sees something else.
And I felt that he had driven there, but he did not park in front of the house where he'd be seen.
The trip there and back would take 14 hours. Impossible if Jeff was at work. But what if he figured a way to slip out of his daily routine?
I kept feeling like there's something about the car we should look at.
She saw a vehicle that didn't belong to Jeff. And she also told us that she saw a document related to this car in the glove compartment.
I had the feeling he had rented a car.
But without more evidence, investigators can't get a warrant for rental records. And when Jeff gets a lawyer, he refuses to talk to police. Detectives Paulich and Carlisle won't give up.
There was a fear of not being able to finalize this case. Corey and I just couldn't let go, so we did a lot of this on our own time. We always kept working on this. I think it was just that internal drive that said, we need to finish this case. This is not right. We know this is a solvable case, and that's why we put so much effort into it.
Finally, their persistence pays off. After a backlog of nearly 2 years, the DNA results on the towel found in the Devardo's bathroom come in. It's a match to Jeff Devardo. Now, detectives get a warrant and access to Jeff's financial records. They learn he rented a car the day before the murders.
The mileage that Jeff had put on the car was 1,178 miles in basically a 2-day period when he was supposed to be at work. So it gave him enough mileage to do the round trip.
Police theorized that Jeff never went to work that day, but instead drove to his parents' house.
The son had rented a car and had driven all the way up there from Los Angeles to see if he couldn't talk about some more money, and also delay paying him back the money they had loaned him.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Hey, Mom. Listen, guys, I stopped by to talk to you about the loan.
I guess he got mad when they flatly said no, and he just killed them both.
He waited for his opportunity for them to be separated. Killed his mother. Knew his father was out getting firewood and would be coming back into the laundry room area.
He attacked without mercy. Then ransacked the house, trying to disguise the murders as a robbery gone wrong. With the lake so close, it would be easy to get rid of evidence.
It's a very dark lake, and unless you have a specific location, there's no way you're going to probably find it.
Back in Los Angeles, Jeff was able to cover up his absence.
It would have took 10 seconds for him to find the sheet, sign his name, and be out of there.
A calculated murder of loving parents.
That's the biggest thing that stands out in my mind, that these people knew they were going to die, and their son was the person killing them.
Authorities arrest Jeff at work on January 23, 2001, charging him with 2 counts of first-degree murder. A jury finds him guilty. Police are grateful to Kay Ray for her help.
With Kay, my feeling is that she has some type of ability, and that it can't hurt. And if she can give you that one little piece that can get you over the hump and break the case for you, then all the better.
Jeff Devardo is currently serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole.
He's right where he needs to be. I remember talking at one point about we can't let this make us chronically bitter or angry. It would be a very, very poor tribute to Mom and Dad for us to become like that. I want more than anything else for him to sit down with me, to look me in the eye and say, I did it. It was the worst thing I ever did. And I'm really, really sorry. And would you forgive me? I want that more than anything.
Janet Devardo and her family experienced an unimaginable tragedy. In Ohio, a family struggles with another tragedy they will never understand.
Dedicated to my son.
Xenia, Ohio, December 1992. 23-year-old Greg Turner is in peak physical shape. For years, he's honed his body, hoping to serve his country in the United States Marines. But due to his poor eyesight and need for hearing aids, his application to the Corps was denied. Still, Greg is content. He lives with his dad and has an adoring girlfriend that he plans to marry. Greg Turner is looking forward to a long and happy life. On the morning of December 3rd, a resident of Greg's apartment complex calls police. She thinks someone slaughtered a deer in the parking lot. There's blood everywhere. Responding officers call in homicide detective Dan Savage.
I started looking around, and I started finding hair and tissue and other things that I knew were not from a deer.
Detective Dan Donahue works the case.
We found broken eyeglass lens. Closer examination of the scene, we found small bone fragments that appeared to be skull fragments. Also found a small battery type that you would find in a hearing aid.
Something terrible has happened.
Our assumption at that point in time is that the victim of this crime is dead. There's no way that anybody could have survived those type of injuries.
But who was the victim?
We started checking with the apartments in the complex to see if we could account for everyone. During that time, we found out that Greg Turner, who lived with his father in the apartment complex, was not home, and his car was parked on the street where he normally parked it when he came home at night.
Does Greg wear glasses?
Then we learned from his father that his son wore glasses and he wore hearing aids.
Well, sir.
It was at that point that we pretty much determined that Greg Turner was our victim in this crime.
Might be your son.
Greg's father can't believe it.
Is it my son?
Sure. 100% positive.
Is he dead? Because we don't have a sample of his son's blood to compare at that time. We do not have an absolute guarantee that this was his son. He was the only one missing from the area. But like any father would, he had that hope that we would find his son and he would be okay.
He got along good with everybody.
Yet investigators know this case will not have a happy ending. The family deserves answers and justice. And before long, a psychic will help them get both.
There are people who speculate on what might have happened at a crime scene. But there's only one incident that happened, and that's what I want to see.
Xenia, Ohio police believe Greg Turner has been murdered, though they still don't have a body. Greg's mother, Sandra Corona, refuses to give up hope.
I didn't have a feeling in my heart that he was gone. I felt that maybe he was severely injured. Maybe someone was taking care of him somewhere. So my thought was that it's going to be okay. I mean, you know, it's got to be okay.
Detective Dan Savage believes Greg knew the killer.
If it's a robbery, you don't take the body. You know, you go up, take a guy's wallet, you thump him, or whatever, and you leave. This was brutal. This was overkill. This was personal.
They go to talk to Greg's girlfriend.
No, nobody wanted to hurt Greg.
She's denial. Don't want to talk about it. Not him. Didn't happen. To the point we flat had to come out and say, look, he's gone, and you need to start helping us if you know anything or if you can give us any direction.
Well,
She tells Savage and Detective Dan Donahue about an ex-boyfriend.
We did learn that day that she had a former boyfriend, James Keel. But the information we got was that Greg and James got along just fine. There was no problems between them.
But other interviews reveal a different story.
We did talk to someone who mentioned that James Keel had problems over the girlfriend issue. And that was the first we had heard that there was a problem with that. So he set up an interview with Mr. Keel.
Pretty good. Thanks for coming by.
I sat down and spoke with him.
Talk to you and have a few things
there's
to talk to you
something
about.
that just didn't set right. You only get overkill on the personal attack when you got somebody that's got a reason to do it.
Like that. It's just
And of all the people I talked to, this man sitting in front of me was the only one that had a reason to do it. And so I started narrowing in on him, trying to see who is James Keel and what can I find out about him. There wasn't a whole lot, except that he had this fascination with this young lady, and she had left him for Greg.
Just the thing I do.
Gut instinct tells Savage he has the right man, but he needs proof. A colleague suggests that he contact a psychic. Greg's mother agrees.
I know they do things that nobody else can do, and I needed to find my son, and I told them, whatever you need to do, do it. Bring me my son.
Savage calls psychic Carol Kirkpatrick.
Hello?
I said, I need some help here. I was told maybe you can help me. I said, this really is different for me, and but we'll see what we got.
Because Carol reads situations by listening to a person's voice, she asks Savage a simple question to take his mind off the case.
She goes, I need to know what the weather's like there today. I said, it's cloudy, it's cold, and it's windy. And she goes, you're looking at a lover's triangle.
I felt that there was something of a jealousy that was creating the upset, the turmoil, and the problem.
This fits Savage's theory of the crime. But Carol's next vision does not.
I felt that he had been shot.
There was nothing at this scene that ever gave us any evidence that there was ever a firearm introduced to it. There's no expended cartridges, no spray off, nothing that showed a weapon was involved of that type. I'm not discarding it. I'm taking everything serious, but I'm skeptical.
What about the body?
I said the person that shot him, after killing him, put him in the truck and drove him up Route 72 and 42.
She goes, I hear water running. I see a shallow grave, some wood coming around it. I see a wood fence, you know, I see this wood fence.
I picked up John Bryan Park.
John Bryant Park is actually in the area where James lived. James actually lived across the road from it.
I also told them that somehow there is a blue car involved in or with the murder.
It's a bug-like. She's not a Volkswagen, but it's rounded. And for some reason, in the trunk. And that's all I got right now.
Bye-bye.
Savage is cautiously optimistic.
But I wrote it all down, and I thought I'm going to use it. If something happens, it still falls back on the detectives. You can't expect them to give you everything and solve the crime. And she was very clear about that. I'll give you what I see, but you're going to have to do it.
Savage gets to work.
I called James back in for a second interview. Asked him what he drove, what kind of car he had. He said that he had a little red vehicle.
But because of a recent accident, he now drives his mom's car.
I said, okay, what color is it? It's blue.
Carol saw a blue car with something important in the trunk.
I'm thinking, this is cool. And I thought, all right, this is here. Let's give it the once over. Let's look. And so I looked through it and I said, you mind opening the trunk? Can I look in it? So he opens up the trunk. And about the size of the top of a pencil eraser, I see one small drop of blood. And I said, well, what's that?
My mother, she has groceries in here.
Which seemed like a good reason. He said it may have been from the hamburger or the meat or whatever.
You mind if we get a sample of that?
No, go ahead.
I'll be right back.
So I called one of our evidence techs. He swabbed it, and from the first indications, that was Greg Turner's blood.
Savage is on the right track, but he still hasn't found Greg's body. A visit from the psychic will bring him closer. In Ohio, Greg Turner is presumed dead, and police have a prime suspect, James Keel. Detectives consult psychic Carol Kirkpatrick.
I talked to Dan Savage about it, and he was afraid to arrest. He was afraid, what if this young man did not do it, that he would be ruining his life. And I was just absolutely sure that he had done it. I said, you've got to go back and question him again.
Detective Dan Savage again talks to Keel and studies his reaction during a search of his house.
We want to put him in a high-stress situation. Let him know we're here, we're looking for stuff, and see how his demeanor changes.
10 years or so.
Did it bother you that Greg was dating your ex?
No, not all that much. I mean, it's just, she was no longer interested in me, so I said, well, hey, man, go for it. And he's like, sure. So I did.
He didn't change a whole lot. Very calm.
And the search turns up no evidence. The next day, Keel submits to a polygraph examination.
Came back with inconclusive results. Inconclusive just means they can't tell if he's lying and they can't tell if he's telling the truth. There's something going on. He may be hiding something, but it's not enough to say he is absolutely lying.
Keel promises to take another exam in 10 days. While they wait, Savage asks psychic Carol Kirkpatrick to come to Xenia.
Sure we're getting closer?
He hopes that by being in the area, she can lead him to Greg's body.
I'm sure this is right.
Carol guides the detective along the route she feels the killer took after the murder.
And she took me up to the Clifton area. Clifton is where John Bryan is and where James lived.
In her earlier visions, she heard rushing water.
We went up and down a lot of roads looking till I found the sound that I had heard in my mind.
Carol leads Savage to James Keel's street.
She did not just take me to the area. She took me within, 100 yards of James's house. So it was good. It was good.
To the right.
And I said, I feel as though every time we go around this block, we're driving around the body.
I can sense it. It's near. He's near.
She gave me a comfort because she's giving me confirmation that I'm on the right track without ever having the information presented to her.
Savage keeps Keel in his sights.
Every time on the way home from work or whatever, I'd make an opportunity to ride by, make sure James knew I was still there. And then by accident one day, we pulled up beside each other in a stoplight. And I look over and I wave, you know, I'm here. He was not real receptive back. You could see, like, I don't like him always being here. He goes on his way and I went on my way. And ironically about that, it was the day before his second polygraph was to take place.
The pressure must have been too much.
It's been 2 hours. I don't think he's going to
On the
show.
agreed
I'm sorry
upon
to waste
day,
your time.
Keel doesn't show up for the polygraph and can't be found anywhere.
I know that something's given because he's bolted on us, which in this case did not bother me that he ran because him running was the beginning of the end. And I knew that, and I felt good.
No one knows where Keel is headed, but somehow they have to bring him back. Suspected killer James Keel is on the run. While talking with Keel's parents, Detective Dan Savage takes a gamble.
His mother was a person who believed in the psychics. And it was kind of a bold thing, I thought, because this could really blow up. I told her, I said, well, I've been consulting a psychic, and they're pretty sure that James is involved.
Your son's involved.
At this point, I think Mom and Dad are starting to believe that,
led me to the
what has our son done? Mom more than Dad. So she goes, I want to show you something.
There's something I need to show you.
She shows him 2 backyard wood piles.
And she goes, I stacked all these, but I didn't stack that one over there like that. She goes, it's been restacked.
Savage remembers Carol Kirkpatrick's visions.
I'm standing there, and I'm hearing the water, and I'm seeing the fence, and I'm looking at this wood that's chopped wood, and I'm thinking, you know, that could have been what she's seen. And it's all flooding in. And I called Dan. I said, where are you at? I said, get on back here. We start moving the wood off. We dug a little bit off the top, probably within 4 inches. We come across denim. Reach down and just kind of tug on it to see if it's just a piece of cloth. And he said, nope, we're stopping. We found it. We found Greg.
The detectives cannot believe Keel remained so calm during the search of his room.
What was ironic about everything, we're standing in his bedroom with him, and while I'm talking to him, he's telling me I don't know where Greg is. And the whole time we're talking, Greg is buried 12 feet from me. So then we started trying to find out where James is.
We've got relatives in California. That's the only
Parents had discussed that he had relatives in California, and he may be going there. So I asked that one of the detectives head up to the Greyhound station, and they went up there. They did confirm for us that 1 ticket had been purchased to that destination.
They'll try to intercept Keel when the bus stops in Las Vegas.
So I get out there, meet up with the Las Vegas Metro. They send a couple guys down, and we go down to the bus station. They throw on a couple Greyhound jackets, take some brooms, and go out and start sweeping. James took one step onto the pavement, and they spun him and cuffed him, and he was in custody. And that was it.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Keel finally admits to the murder. He says he was jealous of Greg's relationship with his ex-girlfriend and decided to confront him.
She's my girl, she's mine!
Police first found no evidence of a shooting, but Carol knew it happened.
We now know there was a gunshot. In the autopsy, they found a .22 round. Greg had been shot in the stomach.
When the shot didn't kill Greg, Keel attacked with a hatchet. He transported the body down Route 72 and 42, just as Carol envisioned. Then buried him under the woodpile. Carol had seen a blue car, and investigators recovered a drop of Greg's blood from a blue car Keel was driving. Detectives now know why.
Greg had never been in that car. He'd never been in that trunk. There was no reason for his blood to be there, except that James had forgotten that when he cleaned out the vehicle he did transport Greg in, he moved his bowling ball, and on the pegs on the bottom of the bags had transferred blood into the car.
James Keel pleads guilty to murdering Greg Turner and receives 20 years to life in prison. Greg's mother, Sandra Corona.
I felt very alone, devastated. I could not see why anyone would want to kill my son. I wanted to do something to honor my son and to preserve his memory. I began writing about the small things that he did. He knew I loved roses, and he knew my favorite color was yellow. One year, he and his father went and they bought a rose bush. When it was time for them to give me the rose bush, I looked at his hands, and they were all bloodied. And I was like, "Sweetheart, what happened to your hands?" And he said, "They had thorns, Mom, and I didn't want you to get your hand stuck on a thorn." So he had taken all the thorns off so I wouldn't get blood on my hands. But his little hands were all torn to pieces. And that was my first poem dedicated to my son, Yellow Roses.
A loving couple slain by their own child. A caring young man, alive only in his parents' hearts. For every life taken, mourning families remain. Police did all they could, working with psychics to bring justice and closure for those left behind.